Did you know that up to 80% of women over 35 experience some degree of hormonal imbalance, and really without a clear diagnosis? If you're tired, wired, or on edge, gaining weight or have gained weight, and you got labs done and you're told, hey, your labs all look normal, everything's normal, this episode is for you. We're going to break down hormone imbalances and surprising signs that you can have and you can use to identify if your hormones are off. Welcome back to the Life Optimizer podcast. My name is Victoria, a Yale-trained midwife and women's health specialist. Today, we're talking about hormones and really the signs that you may have a hormone imbalance. Before we go on, I ask that if you like the content on this channel, that you subscribe to really help support this channel in a free way. Okay, let's get into it. So what are hormones? So hormones are chemical messengers in your body, and they really signal everything. They signal your mood, they signal libido, they help with sleep, they help with your metabolism. But when they're a little bit off, your body feels off, and so you start to develop symptoms. And initially, when your hormones are off, you don't necessarily start to develop symptoms right away. Your body is very smart, and so it starts to compensate. It uses other molecules to compensate for your sex hormones, or vice versa. If you're stressed, it uses the precursors to sex hormones to compensate for your other hormones. But over time, if your body is under stress or there's dysregulation somewhere chronically, you start to develop symptoms. Did you know that up to 80% of women over 35 experience some degree of hormonal imbalance, and really without a clear diagnosis? Because by the time that you get a diagnosis, that means a lot of things have been off for a period of time. By the time that your labs start to shift, your conventional labs start to shift and start to be abnormal, that means that that imbalance has been happening for a long time. We'll talk about the 7 signs, the 7 most common signs that your hormones are off, or that your hormones might need support. So I'm going to go through them by system. It's just an easier way, I think, to organize rather than giving you, 100 different symptoms. I want to break it down and give you kind of the 7 most common ones, the 7 big ones, organized by hormonal system. So the first one that I want to talk about is your HPA axis. So this is your adrenal and cortisol system, right? The HPA axis is the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, and it's involved in your stress response, and it plays a key role in everything, your sleep, your energy, your resilience, or your ability to really cope with life, right? So sign number 1 that your hormones need support is you're exhausted in the morning. You get a good night's sleep, but you wake up, you're so tired, you have a hard time waking up, and you're wired and really excited at night instead of being calm at night and excited in the morning. It's kind of the opposite of what should happen. So sign number 1, you're exhausted in the morning but wired at night. If you're tired, especially after a full night's sleep, or you feel like your brain is, worn out, like your brain is foggy after you slept, you wake up and you're really tired, this pattern often reflects low cortisol in the morning, and cortisol should be high in the morning, and it reflects high cortisol at night. Like you're really amped up at night, you're ready to go, you want to work, you have 1,000 projects that you're ready to do. So that picture is flipped. Usually you want your cortisol high in the morning and low at night, and your melatonin to be rising at night, or to be secreted at night, so that you can go to sleep. One study in Nutrients in the journal showed that chronic stress blunts the cortisol curve, reduces energy, and disrupts the circadian rhythm. And I know in other episodes here we've talked about stress and the circadian rhythm and energy, but chronic stress definitely plays a role. Chronic stress messes up your cortisol curve. Sign number 2 that your hormones need support, that your HPA axis is dysregulated and needs support, is you wake up, or you have a period of wakefulness between 2 to 4 in the morning. regularly. So maybe you fall asleep fine, or maybe you don't. But then all of a sudden, right around 2 to 4 in the morning, you feel like you wake up. You might not necessarily like get up, but you definitely feel you're awake. Okay. This is a red flag for overnight cortisol spikes and blood sugar drops. Both of those things are regulated by your HPA axis. And so this is, again, being that tired and wired. Your body thinks that it's under threat at night, and it wakes you up. That cortisol is high, your blood sugar potentially drops, and you wake up as though your body is on alert. Okay. Let's talk about the next system. So the next system I want to talk about is your insulin system and your metabolic hormones. So insulin controls blood sugar. It also influences how your body stores fat. It influences your energy, and even can affect your reproductive hormones. So sign number 3 that your hormones may need a reset is that you have gained weight around your midsection, around your belly, without changing your exercise or activity patterns or your diet. So this may be a signal that you have insulin resistance, or you're developing insulin resistance, because insulin resistance causes fat storage around your organs or around your midsection. And if the fat is stored around your organs, which is called visceral fat, it is more dangerous than the fat on the outside. Okay, so one study showed that having even small increases in fasting insulin, which is the insulin that you wake up with, that insulin first thing in the morning. So having even small increases in that insulin in the morning was linked to gaining weight in your abdomen, even for people who had a normal body mass index. So even for normal weight people, having an increased insulin in the morning meant that they would gain weight or store weight in their abdomen. Okay. Study sign number 4. Sign number 4 that your hormones are off. You feel foggy, bloated, or tired after meals. So if you are feeling tired or foggy after meals or bloated after meals, this may mean that you have poor glucose control, and metabolically your body is struggling to stay flexible when you give it more food. So that insulin isn't working to put away the food that you're eating, and so your body starts to feel sluggish um, in that process of putting away carbs or using carbs for energy. In the book Glucose Revolution, the author explains how erratic glucose spikes affect hormones. They affect brain clarity, and they even affect your mood. So that's something to consider. So let's move to the next system, your sex hormones. Your sex hormones can also give you symptoms that are signals that they need help, that they need support. And oftentimes, your sex hormones are affected by other things. I alluded to this earlier. So what are your sex hormones? I'm talking about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. These hormones regulate, again, your mood, your cycle, libido, and energy. And they naturally shift through your 30s and your 40s, especially in perimenopause, and then going on into menopause in your 50s. So sign number 5 that your hormones might need support is your periods are changing. So they're shorter, they're heavier, or your periods are more intense, or all of a sudden you have more cramping with periods, and that might signal that your hormones are shifting. This is one of the earliest signs of estrogen dominance or progesterone decline, which are classic markers of perimenopause. The SWAN study showed that hormonal shifts start 5 to 10 years before menopause, and often they affect cycles, and they give you premenstrual syndrome symptoms or full-blown PMS. Okay. Sign number 6 that your hormones need support is that your sex drive is gone or decreased, and you're not sure why, right? So changes in your libido, changes in your sex drive. This can be for a number of reasons, but a study in the Journal of Menopause, an article, in a 2020 article, showed that androgen levels correlate more with women's libido than even estrogen alone. So what does that mean? That means that androgen levels are your, typically considered male sex hormones, but we know they play crucial roles in female physiology. And so what that study showed is that testosterone, DHEA, played a crucial role in women's libido, not just estrogen. And so changes in libido might mean that you have low testosterone or low DHEA, or both, or a combination. And testosterone and DHEA drop a lot as we age or as we experience stress. So age and perimenopause may play a role, but we really know that stress plays a huge role. Everything is connected. And so figuring out, is it aging, or is it stress, or is it something else even, that's doing this? So really looking for that root cause, not just saying, oh, it's my ovaries, I'm aging. It could be so many other things that can affect your testosterone levels, your DHEA, and then ultimately your estrogen levels as well. Okay, let's move on to the neuroendocrine system, right? Your mood and your brain and the hormones that are related to that. Hormones like progesterone, estrogen, and cortisol directly, again, impact mood, brain function, emotional resilience. So, the seventh sign that your hormones might need support is that you feel more anxious, more irritable, or emotionally reactive. Something small happens where you used to just let it roll off your back, and all of a sudden you're like so irritated, so upset about it, and really can't really calm your nervous system down. That might be a sign that your hormones need support. So we know that a drop in progesterone can make you feel edgy, and we know progesterone drops at the end of your cycle, and so contributes to the symptoms of PMS. So that drop can make you feel edgy and even out of control. This is because progesterone is calming, right? It has a calming effect on our brain. It boosts it boosts GABA. So when it drops, you really can feel your mood shift, when that progesterone drops. And during perimenopause, lower estrogen and progesterone disrupt serotonin and disrupt GABA, which leads to anxiety and mood swings even more. Okay, so all of these systems, are interconnected. So you can't really just fix one in isolation, right? They're all connected, and oftentimes when you fix one, all the other ones fall in line, which is the nice thing. But we know that blood sugar affects cortisol, cortisol affects estrogen, estrogen affects your thyroid, and so on. And so they're all completely connected. And that's why I said it's really important to find the root cause of the symptoms. First, find out, hey, am I having any symptoms? And then finding the root cause. Is it, stress that's contributing to hormonal changes? Is it, you're entering perimenopause and that's the issue? And so how do you support your body through that? Things like that. So why a hormone reset is important, or a hormone reset works. A hormone reset is a science-based way to realign your body's natural rhythms, focusing on 5 different areas. So a hormone reset is really focusing on all the areas. I know, I wish I had an easy pill. I wish I had an easy way to say, hey, just take this pill and your hormones are going to be fine and you're going to feel much better. But really, you want to focus on all the areas, because hormones are so complicated. The approach should be complex. And if you're having, let's say mood swings, and you're given let's say you're given, having irregular bleeding, and you're given a birth control pill, for sure your irregular bleeding is going to be better. But we are really covering what's happening and what's causing that. Okay. We're not addressing it, and addressing it is complicated. So, of course, it's simpler to take the birth control pill and then not have the irregular bleeding, and seemingly everything is fine. But really, we haven't addressed the root cause. And like I said, addressing the root cause, unfortunately, is fairly complicated. And so I kind of approach it from a 5 big buckets, or 5 big areas, but really it should be tailored to each person, right? Each person, as you go through, and we'll talk about a little bit more of how to approach this and how to begin figuring out your hormones. But as you go through and look at your symptoms, you'll know which areas to focus on. But in general, we're focusing on blood sugar balance, and that's your nutrition, stress and adrenal support. So figuring out where the stress factors are and how to support them, and how to support your adrenal system, liver detoxification pathways, because our liver is a big player in how we detoxify hormones, what we do with them, how we store them, etc. So that's really important. Your gut health. We know that your gut is connected to everything. We know that your, hormones are, detoxified there. Neurotransmitters are made in your gut, etc. So much happens in your gut. Your microbiome is in there. Your estrogen metabolism depends on your gut. And so focusing on your gut and then restoring your nutrients so that they can then support hormone production, because thinking like magnesium, B vitamins, omega-3s, they're all involved in so many enzymatic reactions in your body. And so, if you don't have the proper nutrients for the enzymes to work, your body can't make the hormones, or can't use the hormones, or can't bind and transport the hormones. I know it sounds like, oh, really, like omega-3s or B vitamins or magnesium. Magnesium is involved in, I think, 300 enzymatic reactions in your body. That is insane. And we know that a lot of people are actually deficient in magnesium. And so if that's such a critical nutrient, if you're low, you might be having symptoms, and, figuring out how to support your body is going to be crucial. So studies in Frontiers in Endocrinology show that targeted nutrition, circadian rhythm alignment, and stress reduction can dramatically improve your hormone function, often within weeks. Which, again, it's a hard thing that we have episodes on the podcast about your circadian rhythm, what that means, how to align it, how to align, your work and what you're doing and your wake and sleep times with the sun. Go check that episode out. Stress reduction, we'll need to talk more about that, and how to have tools to reduce stress. I've talked about it in a couple episodes already. And nutrition, right? Getting those nutrients in, getting the right nutrients, and then supporting your body. Those three things can drastically improve your hormones. And so while it may, seem daunting, starting small, as we talk about on this podcast all the time, and seeing if you can find a few things to reduce your stress, do a couple things to help with your circadian rhythm, and then support your body through nutrients, is going to be huge. So what can you do today? Let's talk about that. I want to share 3 steps, 3 things that you can do today to help support your body and help figure out, do you need a hormone reset? Which hormones need support, etc. So you can use a daily tracker to log your symptoms. You could do it for a week. I would say do it for a month, like basically from one period to the next period, from the first day of your period to the end. You don't have to necessarily wait for the first day, but I just mean for about 4 weeks, to see, over the span of a month, what are your hormones doing and what are you feeling, because 1 week might not give you the full snapshot. And lucky you, I have actually created a free symptom tracker for you. I will link it in the notes. You can go in there, grab it and print it out and use it, have it with you, print it out and use it. And then, like, at the end of the day, mark off a couple things, or at the end of the week, see how you felt over the week. So free to you, download that. The other thing is running the right labs. We talked about that in the beginning. So oftentimes you get labs done and you're like, okay, my TSH is normal. Well, TSH is not the full picture of thyroid. And I'll go through in detail about all the labs that you should be getting in a different episode. But I have, again, created for you a free, PDF that you can download, outlining the different systems that can be impacted, different hormonal systems, what labs to use, and why those labs are important. You don't necessarily need all the labs on the page. It's quite, it's a robust list. But look and see, based on the symptom tracker, where your issue lies, and then see if you need testing in one area. If you're really having quite a lot of symptoms, then potentially kind of doing some lab work, probably for each system, is going to be really important. But what did I say before? Before, even without labs, working on stress reduction, circadian rhythm, and nutrition are already going to improve your symptoms. I can't stress that enough. Those things are free, literally free. Listen to the information and see if you can start to implement that in your life. You don't need expensive labs. You don't need to go crazy, because really the foundations have to be laid. You could get all the labs, but if you're still not nourishing your body with the micronutrients, with protein, good fat, um, complex carbohydrates, you could get all the labs and know that you're deficient, etc. If you're not doing those things, that is going to continue to deplete your body. So you have places to start, free places to start. Anyway, so again, I'll link the PDF in the show notes below. You can get that absolutely free, and go through and see what labs I would recommend to run if you're having certain symptoms. There are so many other symptoms that we haven't talked about. We haven't talked about thyroid at all today. Thyroid is a big one, and so just as the labs will outline, a symptom of having thyroid issues oftentimes is hair falling out. That's one of my first things that women notice: hair falling out, being cold all the time or hot all the time, and then weight gain or weight loss. Those are big thyroid, red flags, so to speak. And so that's something to also consider. And then, so three quick things that you can do is track your symptoms, look at the labs that potentially you could run, and then you can start your hormone reset. We've already talked about the things that you can do for free, and you can start doing that for free. So it is our tradition at the Life Optimizer podcast to end each episode with a Life Optimizer challenge. This week, my challenge for you is to download the symptom tracker and track your symptoms and see if any of your systems need support. And then that gives you a place to start and gives you a place to go for answers. It's more in depth even than what we talked about today. So I hope that really, you find that helpful, and fairly easy to do. If you like this episode, you can share it with a friend, like it, subscribe, share it, so that everybody can know and can have the information that they need. Until next time, and remember, tiny changes make a whole new you. Let's start optimizing today. Thanks for being here.